Salam Rahmatullah, how are you? Well, this is an unscheduled live. It's a kind of a test I'm doing here to see if we can, instead of posting a YouTube video and everything, and that is really time consuming, let's see if I can just directly cut to the chase and try it alive. This video, as you can see, thank you, Jum'ah Mubarakah for all of you. Thank you so much. Well, I hope everyone starts sharing, so at least we can gather a few people. I'm going to make a live. I think it's going to take about less than 1 hour, so let's try to finish what we are going to talk about. This video is to everyone who's starting to revise at very last minute, because this is what it called the last minute. So let's meet together for coffee, although I don't have coffee. I didn't make it yet. But I hope you are gathered around your coffee so you can listen. So this is not for you to ask questions today. It's most I'm going to review some of the new trend. As you can see, I have selected as I may deem as one of the good articles concerning ESP. Although there are some problems with it, but still I do like it. I do really recommend it for all the students who are passing or sitting for ESP. In fact, it's called an ESP. Everyone is trying to revise at the last minute should join me here. So first of all, let me tell you that I'm extremely sorry, that I'm really extremely sorry that I'm unable to respond to all messages because I'm so overwhelmed with the number. This is something makes me happy, but at the same time, it makes me also feel sad that I'm unable to answer. And this, of course, I'm quite sure that some people will hate me, especially if they see their message go unanswered. So that's I'm extremely sorry for. So I appreciate that you are reaching for help, but unfortunately, at this time, it's rather difficult. I try to talk about all the stuff that I can, especially on public videos. Now there is something else, so please try to share. I don't see people sharing. I want the maximum number of sharing so people start to join us. Um, there is something for those who are going to see the video later concerning academic writing. Most people, they tell me, how can I learn academic writing? First, to learn academic writing now, or at least to have that skill, it's a bit late, especially if you are saying, I'm going to sit for an exam next week or 1 month from now. That's quite impossible that you are going to learn it. But what you need to do, at least you try to revise, you try to summarize. And this video is for that, is how can you quickly read and try to summarize everything. You take what is important to you. So this video, although I'm going to talk about this particular article, the information that I'm going to use here can be beneficial for all the students who are sitting for all exams. So academic writing really takes time, but you can simply now try to summarize. Okay, so I still see really few number of sharing. So let's start. For those who are sitting for ESP, ESP, as you know, it's kind of not a new field of research, but certainly we can say that it is not old, and it's new in the sense that there are so many advances. There are so many advancements when it comes to ESP. So if you are sitting for an ESP exam, you need to be aware of all these elements. In fact, it's really crucial to know about these elements. So this article, in fact, comprises most of the elements that you need to tackle. So even if you have already revised ESP, you need to read this article. Maybe you are going to take some important point from it. Maybe I'm quite sure that you have missed some of the recent trends in ESP. So this is going to really to help you. So let's start. First, I'm going to try to directly read and try to see how, for those who are usually asking me, how can I summarize, how can I write a good introduction? So please bear with me and try to listen to me. Okay, so let's see first. We read the abstract because usually I'm not going to skip the abstract. Let's go directly to introduction. Usually in an article we want to see the introduction because it comprises of definitions. That's things that we want to take. So about 50 years ago, English for Specific Purpose started within discipline of English language teaching. Good. So at least this is a start. So I can take this idea. English started within the discipline of English language teaching, because usually for those who talk about ESP, today they sometimes will talk about it as a separate field of research. Or we say that there is an ESP and EGP, but in the past, in fact, it started from this, started from ELT. Okay, so what is the aim of the aim? Helping international students with academic writing tasks at university. Okay, where English is the medium of education. This is a piece of information that I need. Okay, less important aim was to help scholars from non-English countries with publication. Okay, nowadays, when we talk about ESP, if someone is asked about why ESP is important at the university level, this is one of the this is something that you can take, because it helps non-speakers, non-English speakers, in publishing their papers in English. And this is something now why, for example, you see that the Ministry of Education, High Ministry of Education, is pushing towards the use of English, because we want university teachers to publish their papers in English. So this particular information can be useful in this regard. Okay. It's gradually grew out of the pressing demand of the fast developing post. Okay, this is something old. We don't use it. But here, rapidly growing international trade. This is something we can take. Multilingual companies, digital technology, made access and competence in academic business. So all these can be taken. So this can be taken as a very good introduction to an ESP and introduction to ESP. In fact, for those who are sitting for didactics, also because you know that there are similarities. These similarities, for example, if I'm asked about the 21st century skills, and when I'm asked about to talk about communication skills, I can say that now the use of English is important, because we need what? Because of the rapidly growing international trade, because of the multilingual, because of the digital technology, because of academic business trade lingua franca. So all this can be also used in other fields. If you are asked about, for example, in didactic, and you can see also we have the mention of communicative language teaching. Okay. I'm going to pass this, because all you can see is usually we have here in the discussion of the ESP, Robinson 1991. Of course, you need this reference. It has emerged as a result of worldwide demand. These are basic information that everyone should know. And if you are sitting for ESP, this is something you really should have revised. They said we have Jamal Baraka, thank you. Worldwide demand, revolution in linguistics, and a focus on learners. So this is also important. And as I told you, حتى راك ماشي تريح في الديداكتيك وتبان لك ما عندهاش علاقة, you really can steal some information from here and use it in a very clever way. And this way, you will find things really you are going to talk about. So I'm going to skip this. I'm going to move to this one, because it's really something that interests me here. So today, ESP is a well-established subfield of applied linguistics. Some would say it's an independent field by and itself, and its evolution is still going on. You see, this sentence is so important. For example, if I want to start, because I'm against copy pasting, you need to kind of do some paraphrasing. So the paraphrase here said, for example, ESP today distinguishes itself as a subfield of linguistics. Even scholars, some would get even scholars advocate the idea that it's independent by itself. So you see kind of inject your language there, you're trying to modify it a bit so you're not going to fall into the trap of copy pasting. You see, in this paper, we never use I said, because I said this, I have some problem with this article, although I really like the content, but I don't like really the language. In this paper, I provide a brief, so this is kind of the structure of the paper. You go to the background of this paper. Of course, I'm going to share this paper with you later, and you can have a look at it because it's really good. So it's clear we have English, but can be defined in terms of purpose and specificity of the purpose for which the teaching of English is felt necessary. So these two words are really important if you are talking about ESP. You can modify the sentence by paraphrasing it. and you say, for example, specificity of the purpose, and specificity and the purpose are the driving force of ESP. You can say this. So this entails the importance of the needs of the learners who learn English to respond to specific requirements of the target situation. Okay, I skipped that. So this is something that interests me here in this paper. It said such ESP comprises of purpose, specificity, learner's needs, target situation, and authenticity. Of course, the same word here. And each one of these you should develop if you are designing an essay when it comes to ESP. Of course, this is just the start. The article really is so interesting, and you will see here. So, okay, I'm going to skip this and go to the types of ESP because this is also something that most people miss when they are revising. So we have this approach can be seen attempt to try to distinguish ESP from specific or general approaches to the teaching of English. So we have English for general purposes, that's EGP, English for academic and occupational purposes, that's so we have English for academic purposes, English for occupational purposes, English for science and technology, and of course, even you find English as a restricted language, English for academic and occupational purposes, and English with specific topics. All these, if you are ever going to sit for an ESP, you need to have them in your mind. Okay, you find here some definitions, some try to provide some explanation. We go to this idea, which is also very important, and we have ESP embraces three main features: authentic materials, purpose-related orientation, and self-direction. While the concept of authentic materials is self-evident, of course, the other would need brief definition. So you would need purpose-related orientation has to do with simulation of communicative tasks which make students ready for real life target situation. As you can see that this word or this definition applies to the same what we call communicative language teaching. It's the same thing. And we say, for example, when we talk, we say the role of the teacher is to design a situation that simulates a real life target situation. So it's the same thing. You just need to change the wordiness, change the concept, and you will be good to go. We have self-direction, on the other hand, refers to the quality of ESP, which turns language learners into language users. Here's where the teaching of learning strategies and fostering of self-regulated learning in learners becomes prominent. The idea here means what? That we want our learners just to learn the language. We want them to use the language. And this is one of the very important ideas when it comes to either what we call about modern teaching, or when we talk about ESP. ESP is a specific because these students, they know what they need in the future. They know what kind of requirements they need when it comes for a job, for example. So we don't want them just to learn the language. For example, we said, I'm going to teach you how to say this, or how to teach you how to use the present simple, or so for example, respond or use start a conversation in a bank. No, we want you really to use. So these are important. So you keep this in mind. So even if you want to talk about, let's say, for example, and you want to reformulate the sentence, you want to reformulate this, you can simply say, for example, we have, let's say, for example, that three elements are important in an ESP course or in ESP. First is authentic materials and purpose-related orientation and self-directions. As for the first one, this is how you make your introduction. As for the first one, the concept, etc., you try to define it. You always try to paraphrase. Okay. ESP vis-a-vis EGP, I'm not going to focus on. I'm going to take a look directly at this because it's very important. So we have EGP is a discipline-independent language use, whereas ESP is a discipline-specific language use. I really like this. And these kind of words, these kind of sentences, you may use them as quotes because they are really good. To argue that EGP and ESP do not differ in theory, but they differ. Hello, Jamal Baraka, but they differ a lot in practice. So this is something important. You can, for example, paraphrase it. You say, for example, the difference between EGP and ESP is not in theory, but they differ in practice. EGP is a discipline, independent language, whereas so this is how you paraphrase, you try to make your language sense. They argue that ESP is an approach to language teaching in which all decisions as to content and method are based on learners' reason for learning. This is also important if you ever asked about, because that was a question, I think, is there a specific method to teach ESP? And of course, we can say that there is no one single method to teach ESP, because ESP is based on the decision, because the decision of the content and the method which is going to be delivered, this content is only based on the learners themselves. Learners, maybe characteristics of learners, the reason why learners, and other aspects. Okay. We skip this, you can read it, and trust me, it's something so important. I'm going to jump directly to ESP in early 21st century, because this is something usually some students miss a lot. If you look at any research, if you look at any scientific research or scientific field, you have always to talk about it from the theoretical basis, so like the theoretical approach, or sorry, the theoretical background of that field. If I'm talking about, let's say, didactics, we talk about the theories first that drive didactics. Then we talk about the analytical approach of how can we analyze them, see if they work or not. Then we move to the methodological approach also. These three are always important. In this case, because this article, I told you, I liked his way of thinking, really good. So we go here and we find, for example, the theoretical development of ESP. If you ever ask about theories that drive ESP, we said it is no surprise that theoretical domain ESP has not received enough attention. Why? Because ESP has mainly been approached from a pedagogical perspective, partly because of the main concerns of its practitioners have usually been the teaching methods and materials of which the relevance can only be judged in the light of their direct bearing, the direct process, its output. What does it mean here? Usually, when we talk about ESP practitioners, they are the same teachers who teach usually EGP, or at least they have the same way of thinking. And ESP itself has started from from EGP, and so this is a problem. Even if now it is distinguished as a field by itself, we are approaching it from a pedagogical perspective, from the teaching and learning aspect. So we still think about it as the process and didactics, so because still related to the curriculum, the syllabus, the role of the teacher, assessment, etc. And we think about the output. So that's why when it comes to theories that are specifically tailored to ESP, we find them really lacking in this domain. So if this can be a very good, it can be a question, or even those who are sitting for exams. So let's go to analytical development. And here's something I do believe, and tag them if anyone here. I do believe that there are some students who are going to sit for the ESP and applied linguistics. I'm not sure where I'm really not sure. This particular title is very, very crucial. You see here, it's in this connection, it should be noted that earlier reviews of the history of ESP had identified 5 major transformations: register analysis, rhetorical discourse analysis, target language use situation, skills and strategies, and learner-centered approach. So everything is summarized there, but what's important to me, not sure I have, okay, yeah, you look at this paragraph because it's really, really interesting. Let's highlight it. So we have, okay, these scholars have all noticed the review of the studies conducted on the discourse structure of a given genre reveals that researchers have followed either of the two approaches, the text-first approach or the context-first approach. Actually, I'm not majored in ESP, but I really am into didactics. I talk about it a lot. And if I read this, I can make the direct connection between the two. That the text first approach or the context first approach. Because usually as teachers, sometimes we start from the text, we start from the approach. But here, in the form, a text corpus selection is done first, then the researcher explores the text to find its discursive, generic, rhetoric pattern. If you are ever asked in discourse analysis, or this question someone proposed to me, said, what is how discourse analysis can benefit ESP? This is a question. How can discourse analysis benefit ESP? You have to look at, because discourse analysis is that field is going to provide you with the discursive and generic and rhetoric pattern in a text. Without these, the ESP practitioners, they have problem because they still need this information. So, in the latter, texts are analyzed in the light of the features and their already established and well-described context. The former depends on our knowledge of the discourse and linguistic features, so we are moving to discourse analysis. Okay, even academic discipline or profession. The latter tells us to what extent a given text complies with, deviates from the context in which relate. This, to me, I myself am copy-pasting it because I need it. I know I need it. This is one of the things I do. I sometimes, when I find a very good introduction, I take it because a very good paragraph with this rich content. Because sometimes what happened, احنا وش يصير لنا؟ نلقاو المعلومات، تلقى المعلومة وتقراها اليوم، تضرب عليك شهرين ثلاثة وتعاود تستحق نفس المعلومة. You really like how it's tied together. Then you don't find it. So this is how we do it. Okay, the context for approach has motivated John's studies in ESP to move beyond linguistic descriptions, and researchers, workers, and the camp are more interested in finding why a given genre is shaped as it is and how it achieves its goal. So this is, you have to develop it further if you are interested in the idea of ESP plus discourse analysis. Okay, by the way, if you are going to relate ESP, because we said ESP sometimes it is put under applied linguistics. So if there is this talk between applied linguistics and discourse analysis, you can relate, but you have to be very smart. You really have to be so smart. So try not to make mistakes, because deviating from the topic can be quite problematic. So we have another line of analytical development owes much to innovation and the advancement on computer software. This is also important because now it takes me to talk about technology. Innovation, advancement in computer software technology and the internet, which have made the storage and analysis of large sets of text and corpora both possible and easy. Okay, and easy. The generalizability of finding more precise. Okay, so this is so good. If you are ever asked about, for example, why technology helping, even كان واحد السؤال مرة سقساوه, how does technology help in, I think it was in literature review, or analyzing data collection. It's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. So this new computer-assisted analytic approach, sometimes called corpus linguistics, has revolutionized ESP. It has a broader notion of specific language to the fore again, and we know, etc., etc. So you read this, you summarize. Because literally, it's so good. The language is not difficult. It's not really that formal, but still so good. And it's rich of information, like super rich of information. Okay, advanced technology also made it possible for ESP researchers to design and conduct cross-cultural and cross-disciplinary studies. أي إنسان حاب درك يهدر عليه مثلا يجيك سؤال فيه ESP ويقول لك ESP حطها لنا مع التكنولوجي, ولا how مثلا the advancement in technology is helping ESP. هنا من هذه تبدأ سهلة. قال advancement has made possible. قال ESP researcher, درك مثلا أنا حاب نبدلها. ESP research today with the advancements of technology, ESP researchers are easily able to conduct cross-cultural carry out cross-cultural and cross-discipline studies. It's simple as that. Okay. نمشوا الميثودولوجيكال ديفلوبمنت. هنايا it's really really so important. Okay, sorry. It's really so important. We see why. And as for methodological development, ESP has witnessed three major approaches. Sometimes I really rarely I see people talking about this, and these are what the trends. These are the trends in ESP, by the way. So if you are going to talk about approaches, you need to revise these. So you have to for example, you have ESP has witnessed three major approaches to pedagogy in the past 2 decades: content-based instruction, content and language integrated learning, genre-based instructions, and it would also include task-based instructions. These four. هادو احفظها. لازم. You need them either if you are preparing for an exam or preparing for the PhD context. It's both, because what I'm saying here applies to all of them. So you will find the definition of the content-based instruction here. It talks about it lengthily, and you will find also the second approach, and you will find the third approach. All what you need to do really to do a summary. Okay, where are we now? This is something so good. You need also to see what's happening in the sorry, I just have to fix something. Okay, excuse me for this. So again, I was saying that you need to read this because all the content. So okay, I'm going to go to this one because this is something which I have عندي feeling believe this can be a question. I don't know why, especially for those who are sitting in ESP. Future directions. ESP has come a long way so far and still has much longer way to go. Like its past, ESP will develop. Okay, وين راها رايحة هنايا? So نقراو هنا. This is what ESP will opt for. Okay, perspective. This is something of. So نعاود نرجعوا هنا. It will embark on systematic and contextualized survey of the discursive, generic, social, organizational dimension and feat of specialized domain. So this is really, really important. So where is it going now? Okay, I'm going to Miss Lamar Soumia. I'm going to send you this article. I'm going to upload it soon. This is an article. This is not a book. So راح يعاود يرجع هنا يعطينا summary from an analytical perspective ESP. So شوف معايا هضر لكم باللي قال كان مثلا you looked at it from three perspective. عندنا analytical perspective, عندنا methodological perspective, عندكم theoretical perspective. هنا راح يعاود يرجع gives you more detail about that. From an analytical perspective, ESP will continue to be informed by corpus linguistic analysis, discourse analysis, and computer and digital technology. So this is important. You have to take it into consideration. So, and of course, it's going to talk about it from methodological perspective. ESP may give more attention to the popularization of specialized knowledge. This has already underway to talk about technology, entertainment, design, etc. Okay, راح تلقى هنا ESP will continue to be available in different form, many types. So the same is going to back talk about it. Of course, again at the end he talks about needs analysis. هاد لي بوان هادو عجبوني. They are really well said. Needs analysis posing questions about the real wants, lacks, and necessities of target learners. أنا بالكم بالجملة كيما هذه نختم بها أنا بلا ما نقول مثلا حاب دوك نهضر على communicative approaches. قال لكم مثلا نهضر على خلينا نهضر على design, curriculum design. قال curriculum design emanates from questions about the real wants and lacks of necessity of target learners. هذه كيما هكذا يعني it's the same thing. And learning objectives determining the language, genres, and skills that target learner might be expected to master and use it. Okay, the same thing. Materials and methods, developing teaching methodology, specialized textbooks. Evaluation, measuring learners' performance gain. It's the same thing that we say in didactic also applies here. At the end, you have conclusion, and conclusion also really nice. You read it. So this is the end of the video. It's not the end of the video. This is the end of this this quite quick review. I'm saying I'm terribly sorry. I'm really sorry that I can't answer the questions. Some of you they are sending me essays, some of you sending me introduction. Trust me, I don't have time. اللي يقول لك اعطيني 10 دقائق او ديك 10 دقائق مانيش لاقي. I will try to help myself, especially this week, because I need to be active على بالي بلي لي كونكور راح نلحقو. So thank you so much. Inshallah, there will be soon another video. I hope you like it. Please share it to the maximum to all your friends, and have a good evening. Goodbye.